what is going on, what is actually happening. I would have preferred to have many of the parts of my life figured out. I would have much rather have been in a place where I know what the next step is. But another part of me is grateful that I don't know what the next step is, because that means that I'm fully dependent on the Lord. And sometimes it's a fight because I want to lean on my own understanding. And then I remember that I can't, because the minute I start to lean on my own understanding, I go into a panic, I get anxious, I just operate from a place of lack. I'm not able to live and experience where I am right now, where God has put me right now in my life. When you aren't where the other person is, who is at the exact same age as you, and who maybe has the same qualification as you, when you aren't where they are, then the first thing that comes to your mind is that you're failing, or that you're stuck, or that you're behind, which is what is going to bring me to my next point. I have been seeing so many videos on TikTok where people keep bringing up the fact that you cannot be behind in your own life. It is a big perspective thing, but it also is a big faith thing, and it's also a big thing of what kind of posture of heart you have chosen to take up. Hi community, welcome back to A Cupful. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. What I appreciate even more is that you have chosen to join me. If you have been here from the beginning, or you found me along the way of me podcasting, you have nonetheless chosen to continue to join me every single week. We are at the end of season 4, and wow, I'm just really, really grateful for the support that I receive. I know that I'm not entitled to anyone sitting and listening through sometimes an hour of an episode, 30 minutes of an episode. That is you taking your time to sit down and give what I have to say a listening ear. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to God that He has given me a space and an opportunity to share my thoughts, my opinions, my lived experiences, and my feelings, because sometimes it's me sharing my feelings, but I'm really, really grateful that I have this space, and I hope that I get to continue podcasting. Of course, I want the Lord's will to be done, so if that's what He wants for me, then that's what I'll continue doing. And if for some reason I've got to stop, then that's also something that I will do. But nonetheless, I just want to say thank you, and I'm really grateful. And this space has become such a comfortable space for me to open up in and to share in. And I receive so much support, and I'm so, so grateful for it. So thank you. Today's episode is a bit more of like a freestyle. If you have been listening to my episodes or my podcast for a while, you'll know that I'm more like kind of a structure person. I prefer to prepare for the episodes beforehand and to kind of have a flow. But today I don't think I'll be having much of a flow. I'm just going to be speaking from my heart. Not prepared. There isn't anything prepared today. I just wanted to share something that's been sitting on my heart for a little bit. Just something that I'm actually going through right now. It feels like I've been in a transitionary period for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 months at this point. And it is very much like a roller coaster. Sometimes I feel good and I'm real high, I'm up there, and then it feels like we are going down below, way beyond the basement. So I go down to the bottom, to the ghetto of the bottom. And right now I'm in that ghetto of the bottom where it feels like, what is going on? What is actually happening? I would have preferred to have many of the parts of my life figured out. I would have much rather have been in a place where I know what the next step is. But another part of me is grateful that I don't know what the next step is, because that means that I'm fully dependent on the Lord. And being fully dependent on God requires me to constantly remind myself that this is not by my own strength, that I'm depending on the Lord. And it's also giving me an opportunity to continue becoming more and more intimate with God and really leaning on Him more for support. You know that thing that it says in Proverbs, lean not on your own understanding. That's where I am in my life right now. And sometimes it's a fight because I want to lean on my own understanding. And then I remember that I can't, because the minute I start to lean on my own understanding, I go into a panic, I get anxious, I just operate from a place of lack. I'm not able to live and experience where I am right now, where God has put me right now in my life. I want to then run and try and figure things out and hop onto the next part of the chapter, or onto the next part. And child, that time I don't even know what the next part is. I really don't. So yeah, I am in a place where things are very weird for me, and I would like them to not be so weird anymore. I'd like to know what's going on. Where are we going? What is going on? But yeah, I just have had to really sit down and be sat and let God do what God wants to do in my life. Because for a long time, I was doing what I want to do in my life. And that never went well for me. That never ever went well for me. I was really crashing and burning at every turn. So yeah, my mom said something the other day that it will sometimes feel like God is moving very slowly, because the human way, the fleshly way, the human eye would like things to move at a much faster pace, especially because as human beings, we tend to compare ourselves to other people a lot. So when you aren't where the other person is, who is at the exact same age as you, and who maybe has the same qualification as you, when you aren't where they are, then the first thing that comes to your mind is that you're failing, or that you're stuck, or that you're behind, which is what is going to bring me to my next point. I have been seeing so many videos on TikTok where people keep bringing up the fact that you cannot be behind in your own life. And I've been seeing these videos maybe for the last 3-4 weeks. And it's just been something so important for me to take in and for me to see, because I have a tendency of feeling like I'm behind in my life, especially recently. I've had a tendency of feeling like, I'm not in a specific place at the specific time that I would have wanted to. And that just means that there's something wrong that I'm doing, that I'm stuck, that I'm falling behind. But that's also because I would have been looking at somebody else's life. And it's hard. I don't want to sit here and make it seem like, it's just something that you can overcome very easily, not to compare your life to other people's lives. Remember, we are conditioned to live according to the standards of society, and they are flawed. We shouldn't be living according to those standards. They are misleading. We are individuals. I mean, think about it. You're an individual. I'm an individual. We are not the same person at all. And it doesn't mean that because of you did a thing before I did, or you did a thing in a specific way and I didn't do it in that specific way, then there's something wrong with me. That's not true. And that's something that I'm really starting to dissect now, that this is a societal standard that unfortunately many of us were conditioned, many of the standards in society we've been conditioned into believing to be the truth. And we were conditioned, this conditioning started when we were young, when we were very little. You know, you're supposed to have the marriage, the kids, the secure job at this age. Or you're supposed to have all of your ducks in a row by this time. Or you're supposed to... No, absolutely not. The timelines are not the same. I don't even think timelines exist. We are just not the same people. And when you don't give yourself a chance to understand that and see that and really focus on your own life, you will begin competing with other people, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. You will begin to put your values aside, put your integrity aside, put your morals aside to get to where everyone else is. And why? There isn't a need for that. That's why it's important to do the work on the inside and to figure things out from the inside, so that you're literally working from the inside out. And when you do the work on the inside, it's going to show on the outside. You're not going to be concerned about what other people have, what they are doing, how far they are in life, because you will understand that their life is theirs and yours is yours. I will say, though, that the more I've given myself a chance to sit down and really break this down of why is it that I always feel the need to compare myself to other people? Why is it that I feel this feeling of being behind? It has helped me to put less pressure on myself. It's definitely helped me to put less pressure on myself. I don't feel the need to put myself down when I look at my life anymore and I see that I haven't achieved what society says I should have achieved by now, or I don't have what my age mates have. And that's something that I used to do quite a lot. I really used to look at the next person and be like, yeah, no, you're really failing at this life thing, you're doing terribly. So of course, as I have mentioned, I do still struggle, and especially lately I've been struggling with feeling stuck and behind. It just looks different now. I'm not as hard on myself as I used to be. So it is a work in progress, and I'm working on really getting to a place where I'm fully okay with looking around me and not wanting to be where other people are that are maybe my age mates, or not wanting to have what other people have at all, because I then would be completely confident and have the full understanding that where I am is exactly where I'm meant to be. And even though there are delays, roadblocks, there are changes that are happening, that doesn't take away from the fact that I'm still Teredo. The blessings that God has assigned to me are still mine. The gifts and talents that God has assigned to me are still mine. And that in the process, He's shaping me, He's refining me, He's changing my heart, He's changing my mindset. And I really am working from the inside out. So, yeah, I really am saying all of this to say it's really okay to feel a sense of loss, because that is definitely what I've been feeling. And I think this is quite normal to feel, especially towards the end of your 20s. It is within itself a big transitionary period, because you are now moving into a different decade of your life. And yeah, I'm just being so gentle with myself, because I understand that together with the multiple factors that influence how I have thought to look at myself, how I have thought of myself, how I've looked at my life in general, it's okay to feel like there's just a lot going on. It really is okay, because again, as I mentioned, society will tell you that you're supposed to be doing this at this time. And then social media, if you give it a chance, will also say this and show you these people's lives and make you question and wonder why you aren't there and why you aren't able to live this way, or why you haven't achieved certain things yet. And then together with just certain mindsets that people have adopted, people that might be close to you, maybe people that are people that you live around, you're in community with, then, the question of when are you having kids? When are you getting married? When are you buying a house? When are you buying a car? There are a lot of external factors, and I don't want to take away from that do influence how we think, that do influence how we end up looking at ourselves. But then that's why it's important to do the work inside, so that the things that you're hearing on the outside have got little to no effect on you. You know that this is your life. You know that when the time is right, things will happen for you. As the Lord says, that when the time is right, He shall make it happen. And yeah, something else that I just highly recommend is reading the Bible, because when you read the Bible and you read it to understand it, and then you read it to really take in the word will become etched in your mind, in your heart. And when you are faced with certain situations, you will remember the promises of the Lord that He has written in the book of life. So that's also something else that has kept me going. But yeah, it's okay to not feel okay. It's okay to feel like, what am I actually doing with my life? People with stable careers are also asking themselves that question. I've again seen videos of people going, I'm here, I've got this really good job, but I'm so unfulfilled and I don't know where is left, where is right. I'm in my late 20s. I am acquiring all of these amazing material things, but I don't know if this is what I actually want. So, yeah, the best you can do when you are in a place where you're like, what's going on in my life? Like, what do I actually want? Is to sit down with yourself and quiet the noise. Delete the social media platforms. Sometimes that really helps, or spend very little time on it. Have time limits on your apps, which is what I like to do, although sometimes I kind of do ignore the time limits. But anyways, it's a conversation for another day. But yeah, have time limits. Just really minimize the amount of voices you are taking in. Social media, sometimes even other people around you. I love to, and I've said this so many times, I love to have wise counsel around me. I love when other people are supporting me, my loved ones, and they're giving me solid advice. And I appreciate that so, so much. We all need that. But what is also important to do in your life is to learn to make your own decisions, and to learn to understand and know when you need to just have some space between you and the people that you love and that you care about. And having space doesn't mean isolating you. It just means you are taking autonomy. You are taking charge, and you are saying, okay, I'm not going to take this to my mom first. I'm not going to take this to my best friend first. I'm not taking this to my boyfriend first. I'm not taking this to my husband first. I'm not taking this to my sibling first. I'm taking this to God first. I'm sitting with it first, and then I am going to then ask for help, or seek other people's opinions, or seek other people's advice afterwards. But then still, even within that, the main person who's going to make that decision is you. So that's what will need to happen. As we get older, we need to understand that as much as wise counsel is important, is speaking to God is even more important. Getting down on your knees and saying to the Lord, I can't do this, I surrender, please help me. We should actually have that posture of heart every day where you're like, I'm surrendered, Lord. I don't know how to do this, please help me. But yeah, just knowing to do that and teaching yourself to do that as an adult will help you so much in the long run. Even when you're somebody's wife one day, even when you are somebody's mom one day, even when you are somebody's boss one day, you're heading some big corporation, you will have advisors, you will have the support, you will have those wise voices around you, but you will also know, because you would have also just nurtured that and trained yourself so much that you are the wisest. No, I take that back. No, that can be dangerous sometimes. It's just going to be careful about how I say that. Not necessarily you will be the wisest person in the room, but you will be the person who you trust the most when it comes to the decision making about things that have to do with you and with your life. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, just remember that you aren't behind in your life. You can't be behind in your own life. This is your life. This is your race. You should be taking it at your own pace. We are not in competition with other people, and we should never do that to ourselves. And even when you are in competition with yourself, it should be healthy. You should be competing with the version of you that lacked in various areas, and just making sure that you're becoming better than yesterday, better than a year ago, better than 2 years ago. And that's a more healthier competition. That's more about improvement. But when you are in competition with yourself and all you do is beat yourself down and just put yourself through the most and not appreciating the efforts that you're making, then that's going to end up creating a very toxic relationship with yourself, where if you haven't reached a certain milestone at a specific age, then you put yourself through the ringer and you really bash yourself and you are very unkind to yourself. And the world is hard enough as it is. People are unkind as it is. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Why would you want to be unkind to yourself? You know what I mean? So yeah, just please remember, keep in mind that you are allowed to not be okay. You're allowed to not feel okay. You're allowed not to be okay. You're allowed to be going through the most. You're allowed to be questioning things. There's nothing wrong with that. And the girls that are almost at age 30, the girls that are deep in their late 20s and that feel like when they look at their lives, things have not come together as planned or things are looking gloomy and doomy, just remember that nothing is gloomy and doomy in your life. Sure, you're experiencing struggles, sure, you're experiencing challenges, but this is your life. You can't be behind in it. And you might feel like you haven't achieved certain things as you would have liked to. There's still time. You still have time. You still have time. And it's normal to feel like, what the hell is going on? What is this, honey? Where are we going? Where is the train going? It's okay. Ask those questions. I love to ask God, like, what is the plan here? Sometimes he won't answer me. Sometimes he'll answer me in due course. Sometimes in not answering me, he is answering me. And he's saying, just trust me. Don't worry about it too much. Just trust me. And again, it's challenging, but you have to train your mind, train your brain, teach yourself to trust in the Lord with all your heart and not lean on your own understanding. So yeah, girls, take each day as it comes, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, and pray. Get down on your knees and pray. Fast. Read the Bible. Have Bible study sessions. Intercede for yourself. Ask your loved ones to intercede for you. That's the biggest medication that I can recommend to you. I promise you. I'm telling you right now. I could be going through the utmost. I could feel like, you know what, I do not have the strength or the energy to even face the day. And then I say to the Lord, I'm struggling. I'm actually going through it. I'm tired. I'm feeling very defeated. I feel very overwhelmed, and I'm surrendering. I don't have the capacity. Please. When I tell you that I feel better, it's like he restores me. And one thing the Lord will do is he will restore you, and he will affirm the things that you are going through. He will comfort you. You just have to be open and honest about it. So, yeah, if you're going through it like I am, please pray and feel your feelings. Don't escape. Don't try and distract yourself. Feel the things you need to feel, deal with them, and move right along. Move right along. And sometimes, another thing I want to say is, sometimes it might feel like there is no ending to what you are going through. Like you've been going through it for a long time and it just feels like pain on loop. It feels like suffering on loop. It feels like just a never-ending cycle of you feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and anxious. Again, the only way that I have found to be the real remedy for that for me is prayer. And the thing with God is, he didn't say the weapons won't form. The weapons are definitely forming, but he did say they won't prosper. And you know what? I delight in the suffering. I delight in the difficulties now that I have a better understanding of how God works and how he operates and his intentions. I delight in those things because they are strengthening me and building my character. I'm also quite aware that what the Lord is preparing me for, what he is shaping me for, will require a very mature version of me. Mature spiritually, mature in character, mature mentally, mature emotionally. And if there is no training ground for me, if there is no battleground for me, if there is no place for him to test me, to see whether I'm going to lean on him, whether I'm going to go to him, or whether I'm going to go to the things of the world, then I'm not going to get to a place where I can receive those things and where he can give them to me with confidence, where he can say, yes, here we go. This door is open for you. You're ready. So I delight in these difficult times. I delight in the confusion, because then I have him. I can go and lean on him. I delight because I know that I will be prepared for that which he is wanting to bless me with. And I want to be prepared for things in my life. I want to be prepared for the things that God has specifically set aside for me, the blessings, because if I'm not prepared, then I'm going to mess it up, and I don't want to mess it up. So yeah, I delight. I hope that you will come to a place, if you aren't there yet, where you can see that there is a silver lining, and that at the end of the storm, at the end of the thunder, at the end of the hail, there is a rainbow, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Again, you just have to open yourself up to seeing it that way, to changing your mindset, changing how you think, and even how you speak, the things you are speaking into your life. And yeah, it is a big perspective thing, but it also is a big faith thing. And it's also a big thing of what kind of posture of heart you have chosen to take up. So yeah, lean on the Lord, lean on prayer, feel the things you need to feel, don't run away from it. Don't run away from it. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much. If there are any gentlemen that have been listening, that are listening, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it again that you have chosen to walk this journey with me. 2 years now that I have been podcasting, that A Cupful has been in existence. So again, thank you. I am going to go and relax a little bit, breathe, and prepare myself for season 5. There are many episodes that are now in existence. In the digital sphere, you have 84, 85 episodes to catch up on if you have not been listening from the beginning. Otherwise, I will be back in 2 weeks. So at the beginning of May, I will be back with some new episodes. But for now, I'm going to just breathe, give my mind a rest, and yeah, just give myself some time to really go through the motions of this strange place that I find myself in. Something else that I wanted to say before I go, and I've never ever spoken about this on this podcast. I said to myself, I don't want to talk about anything that doesn't have to do with the more personal stories type of topics, right? South Africans, we are going to vote at the end of May. We are heading to the polls. If you are registered to vote with the Independent Electoral Commission, from the deepest part of my heart, community, and share it with everybody else that you know is registered to vote, please go and vote. please go and vote. At the moment, as it stands, according to statistics, there are just over 40 million eligible voters in this country, but only just over half of that, so 27 million and a couple of 100,000 people are registered to vote. So already that's scary, that there are many other millions of people that are not registered to vote. But nonetheless, I'm sure there's something that we can do with the numbers that exist. So please go and vote. Don't just be registered to vote. Don't let it just be decoration. Please go and vote. We know what is happening in our country at the moment. We know what is at risk at the moment. And if we don't do something about it, then who will? And although we don't have all of the power, we have some power. So please exercise your democratic right to vote. Go and head to the polls. You can log on to the IEC's website to see where your voting station is and what you need to bring, if there's anything that you need to bring. I'm not quite sure if there is anything that needs to be brought with, maybe an ID. I don't know, but please make sure that you are participating in your, again, democratic right to vote. Yeah, and apart from me encouraging you to vote, I also just want to encourage you to please share the podcast as you have been doing, which again, thank you. Please share this podcast with someone who you know will find value in it. You can send a link on WhatsApp or even on Instagram DMs, TikTok DMs, whichever one you prefer, or you can just let that person know, let those people know that A Cupful is available on all listening platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, and Castbox, I believe. Yes, it should be there. Have a beautiful remainder of this week. Rest when you need to, work when you need to. Please take good care of yourself and remember that you are not behind. Your life is moving as it should. You are doing just fine, but also feel the things that you need to feel, the frustration, the exhaustion, feeling overwhelmed. Feel all the things that you need to feel. Don't try and run away from that. And just make sure to give yourself time and space. And most importantly, don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your